games. It's ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have our next in our Understand How to Build series, where we go over all the leaders in a given set to help us understand how to build them to suit you and your playstyle. So we've covered the villainy leaders for Vigilance, so now we're covering heroic ones, and the first one we've got is Lando Calrissian. So if you're looking to help understand how to build Lando to suit you and your playstyle, keep watching, and don't forget you can like, comment, and subscribe to keep updated with my videos as and when they drop. And also as well, click that notification bell to get alerts when videos do drop so you can watch them there and then or at a later time that suits you best. Now that out of the way, let's go ahead and help you understand how to build Lando. So, first thing we're going to do is start off with the leader, as Star Wars Unlimited is a leader-based game, and you can't really play without one, because it alongside a base are the two key essential things you need when, well, building a deck. And for this leader, he's a pretty interesting one. He deploys quite late as 7 resources, like a few other leaders do. So until you get to 7 resources, you can't redeploy him. And he's sporting the new deploy, being you can deploy him either as a unit on the ground arena, or deploying as an upgrade on his friendly vehicle, which could be either in space or ground. Now, when he comes down is a just normal deploy, as like most of them done for the last few sets. He comes down as a 5/7 in the ground arena with Sentinel, which is pretty decent, pretty solid stats and decent effect. And if you do deploy him as an upgrade on a vehicle, you give that vehicle an extra 5/5 boost to its stats, so 5 power, 5 health. Make it a leader unit, give it Sentinel, and then when he is deployed as an upgrade, you can give a shield token to a unit in a different arena. So if you deploy him on a space unit, give a shield token to a ground unit, and vice versa. And that's basically his effect. So it's like similar to Luke that we got from set 1, where he's about giving shields. But a different way to do it. So when he's in the leader area, you have to, just like Luke, pay 1 and tapping, but then it goes a bit different from there, because it allows you to play a unit from your hand, and if you do, you control a ground unit and a space unit, so you have to have one in each arena. Then you give a shield token to a unit. So it's similar to how Luke plays, but then when it comes to giving a shield, it's a different way. Like it's the same effect, just a different way of going about it. But then when you deploy, that's when it changes up completely different to what Luke does. Also, unlike Luke, he's got different traits as well. He's got Rebel, Official, and Pilot. I can't remember if Luke had a Rebel. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember too much. But then he's got Pilot because he's a pilot, and also Official because he is technically an official. So that's the leader. So it's all about giving basically shield units, and pretty nice when you have to play on a energy resource deficiency, but it's not too bad. And then you got a pretty nice way to play. Well, you get a Sentinel when you do deploy him as well, which is pretty good, and a way to, if you do deploy him in a new way, being an upgrade, you do get to then shield up something too. And also do remember that, as I said too, every leader gets a showcase, and even though set 1, because Luke and Vader get a showcase as a prize for the I think I can't remember sectors or regionals, and here is Lando's. So with showcase, it's kind of hit and miss sometimes, or it's sometimes perfect, some absolutely amazing, and some kind of lackluster. And remember, a showcase is just alternative art. It's more shiny, harder to get art, so you can feel how you like about it. And with Lando's, I feel it is pretty decent, but it feels more Scooby-Doo-esque. It feels like more like the Scooby-Doo looking art, which it depends. I like it, but then if you don't like it, that's fair enough. Because remember, a showcase are alternative arts, and art is subjective. So if you like it, fair enough. You can get it and use it if you want to. If you don't like it, you can just not worry about it. Just leave it be. So that is the leader. So now we're going to get some basic information, walk over some of the things about the bases, aspects, and ratios. But if you feel like you're a veteran and you don't need any of this information, like you know this information, you don't need it, this kind of series likes to show appeal to all different levels, not just veterans. All levels could be quite open to it, because new players might even jump onto these when they see a leader and want to understand how to build it. So we've got the basic information, but if you feel like you don't need that, feel free to go down to the description below and check out the timestamps, as they will help you skip to different parts that you might, into the parts you want to go to. They're easily noted for your reference, so go ahead and check this out. But if you're not a veteran and you are a beginner and you want to get some more basic information to help you out, then stay tuned, as we're going to go over some basic information. So with the basic information we've got, first bit is about bases, because like with a leader, it's the ever required and mandatory piece of equipment, or mandatory cards you need to build your deck, because we can't play a game without a leader and a base. Because the leader is what you kind of build your around, and has the effects and helps you play the game, whereas the base is your kind of like health factor, helping you determine when you're going to win or lose the game. And with bases, since the beginning of the game, there have been two types of bases. There have been the rare bases, which have a varying level of health, and then along with that, kind of a benefit or detract from the health total, have an effect with it. And there are common bases, which basically are just common bases, no effect on them, and all are 30 health. Now we're going to quickly go over basically what each of these kind of bases do, so you can have a better understanding of it. So first we're going to start off with the rare bases, because these are the ones that kind of differ quite vastly amongst them. And we have 4 sets into the game now, and we have three sets of rare bases. We got rare bases in set 1, being the first row above, the top row, sorry, that are all 25 health bases and have an epic action, being just like a deploy, a turn action you can take once a game, and then once it's used, that's it, it's gone. So you got a one-time use effect, and they're kind of like beneficial to help kind of alleviate the fact you've got 5 less remaining health than a common base. These are all pretty powerful. Like Energy Conversion Lab, the green one, was the most popular from the beginning of the game, and now Attacking Town has become the most popular rare base of the game due to how it helps with the tempo. So these are pretty nice ones. Remember, they take an action to use, so do bear that in mind. And then in set 2, we didn't get any new rare bases. We got none there. And then we got some in set 3. I haven't put those on because those ones are more beneficial to the Twin Suns format, because the rare bases from set 3 are all about your leader, basically. So they boost your leader while it's on the board and trigger when they deploy. And since in Twin Suns you get 2 leaders, so you can trigger them twice or have double benefit, they're not really great. Well, they're better for that format than it is a normal format. Some of them do have nice benefits, like giving your leader an extra 1 health or 1 power, or doing something when they deploy, but it's not really worth it and doesn't really see too much play among them, more in like niche casual decks. And then we got the brand new ones from set 4, so the third lot of rare bases, and these are the ones that are the first ones to have more health than 30 health, and also include either an effect that benefits your deck building size, or it affects your opening hand. So we've got Colossus and Default. These are both higher health, being 35 and 33, and Colossus is about your opening hand, giving you 1 less card in your starting hand, which may be a negative thing, but it depends. But having extra 5 health is kind of could be worth it, and that's for you to figure out, and we'll decide as well. Then we got Date and Vote, and this one gives you an extra 3 health, and this is a deck building one. So for an extra 3 health, you have to increase your minimum deck size by 10 cards. So rather than playing the minimum 50 in your deck, you have to play a minimum 60. So that could be good, bad, depending on how you feel. And then we've got the red and yellow ones, being Thermal Oscillator and Nabat Village. These are both 27 health, so less health, so it means you got a beneficial effect, because that's the thing with the bases. The more health you got than a normal base, you have a more negative effect, and the less health you have just have a more beneficial effect to kind of make do for the fact you got less health. And Thermal Oscillator is a never deck building one, so for 3 less health, you get the decrease your minimum deck size by 5 cards, meaning instead of 50, you need 45 cards. So remember, deck thinning is sometimes deck winning, so having less cards in your deck could increase the consistency, and it's pretty nice and a pretty good option for you. Then we have Nabat Village. This one has 2 effects, and just like Colossus, is about your opening hand, because it allows you to draw 3 more cards in your starting hand, but you can't take a mulligan, so no mulligan. Begin to start the game off with 9 cards. It must be amazing, but you don't get to keep those 3 cards, because as soon as the first action phase starts, you have to put 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any random order. So you still have the same amount of cards as any other opening, any other deck apart from Colossus. But the nice thing about it is you open with 9 cards, you get more cards to see, meaning that you have more of a chance to open with a decent opening hand. You just don't have a mulligan, so you get to look at 9 cards rather than 2 sets of 6, and you get to make sure that you've got a more of a likely chance to open a turn 1 play, or see things for, like, if you're playing a combo deck, see the pieces that you want. So these are rare bases. If you feel like these ones are going to be useful, then go ahead and run them. If you feel like none of these are really worth the less or like more health than a normal base, then you can just run the normal bases, being vanilla bases, I like to call them. And that's because they are just all 30 health bases in different aspects, and the only difference thing is the aspects is just the name, location, and art. And since as of set 4 there's no benefit to having a different name or location, then you just pick the aspect you're playing in, and then from that aspect, or pool of aspect bases, you can basically just use your preferred art. And these are my preferred ones. I got the top 4 being the the common bases from the new Twin Suns deck boxes, which are alternate, which is like a little bit different art of the original set, well, of some of the other set ones. And they also have like hyperspace and foil, which is the first time that's happened for a common base. And then you got the bottom one being the set 4 common bases I like. So these are my preferred arts for the bases. So that's the bases over and done with. Now let's go and help understand about the aspects. So with this game, you have 6 aspects. You have the 4 color ones being Vigilance, Command, Aggression, Cunning, being blue, green, red, and yellow. And these are the ones that feature on all leaders, most all leaders, mostly all the bases, like 99% of bases, and then also are on most of the cards. And then accompanying them are the other 2 aspects being Villainy and Heroism, or black and white. And these are ones that are pretty special, as in they can be on their own cards or attached to one of the other 4 cards, so you can have them on their own or with one of the other colors on a card. And they have, just like the rest of them, a kind of way to play. Like you've got Villainy, which is more featuring the antagonist of the Star Wars universe, featuring very destructive and controlling effects, while Heroism features the protagonist of the Star Wars universe, featuring more rebellious and like fast-paced kind of cards and effects. So, reason we're going over this quickly is because these aspects all have a different way to play, and it's best to understand them to see which one kind of suits you and your playstyle. So, with Vigilance, this is one that Lando's already in, so if you like this, then good thing is Lando's already in it. And Vigilance allows you to play kind of defensively, because it offers some good amount of healing. It also offers defense into kind of like things like Sentinel and Shields, and also it provides you with removal as well, because you got a lot of removal effects. So if you're interested in like the playstyle of being quite defensive and controlling, then Vigilance is a very good one for you to go for. It's a very controlling one and allows you to slowly roll out the game and like slowly gain control. So that is Vigilance. And then you have Command. This is the ramp color. Like if you've played other games, it might be the same case. So I know it is for Dragon Ball. That like green is the ramp color, and what this allows you to do is accelerate your resources. So you can basically increase your resources quicker than your opponent can. So you can like send them around a normal turn every turn resource, and then that allows you to play big things out quicker or play out more things quicker than your opponent. So you could overwhelm your opponent with a huge board presence. So if that sounds like a benefit to you, that you like to ramp and then play out bigger things quicker, then Command could be a perfect one for you, especially when it comes to Lando, who deploys quite late. You might want to ramp up to get him out a little bit earlier. And then we got Aggression, just like the name suggests, is a very aggressive aspect, but more in terms of like damage, because it's a very damage-focused aspect. So what I want us to do is throw out damage and just achieve victory at, well, almost all costs by throwing out damage aggressively until your opponent is defeated. It likes to do this by effects or just by aggressively attacking with lots of small units and stuff like that. So you feel like a damage focus and like even like a burn strategy is perfect for you, then Aggression could be a good choice for you. And that brings us to the last aspect, being Cunning, and this is one that's like a jack of all trades, because it allows you to kind of have an answer for almost anything your opponent will throw at you, and also have an answer for almost anything and have something for every situation. So if you feel like you like to have an option for anything, like be prepared for any situation, Cunning could be a perfect one for you to go with. So that's the 6 aspects, and like I said, these aspects on leader and bases. So with your leader, you get 2, being one of the 2 bottom ones, Villainy and Heroism, and you get one of the other ones. So with Lando, you get Heroism and Vigilance, and then when you add a base to it, which can have one of the color ones, then you get a pick of 4 different aspect combinations. So if you were to have a blue base with Lando, you'd have double blue, giving you access to double aspect cards, which there is a few of, which go over those. You have access, if you put a green base, you have access to blue-green. Pretty nice one there. You then got blue-red if you have a red base, and then blue-yellow if you have a yellow base. And we will get into this, but first we're going to kind of go over another part of the aspects before we get into what the benefits of each of those aspect combos are, and that is the aspect plenty. Because this is something that is going to be important when it comes to playing cards, because when you build a deck, you can put any cards you want in your deck, as long as it's not restrictive or not in that format, then you can play any card in your deck. But when it comes to actually playing the cards during a game, that's where the aspect penalty comes in. Because what it basically is anytime you would want to play a card, if the aspects on that card you want to play do not match what's on your leader and or base, you have to pay an extra 2 on top of that card's cost. So we've got a good example here of the leader Lando with a base we've gone for yellow. So that gives the aspects of Heroism, Vigilance, and Cunning, or white, blue, and yellow. Now, if you were to play, for example, as we're going to use for the top box, a card that has the aspects on the card, like the 1 or 2 aspects on the card, matching what's in your leader base combo, then you pay no additional cost, you just pay the cost as normally meant to be. So that's box number 1. Now for the second box, the middle one, that shows the is an example of when you want to play a card, but one of the aspects, or the aspect or one of the aspects on the 2 on the card, don't match what's on your leader or base. You have to pay an additional 2 on top, so say a 2 cost card with one aspect not matching, now costs 4 instead of 2, and that's a kind of double the price of it. So you got to think about if that's going to be worth it. We got an example with this leader base combo in the second box. And that brings us down to the last box, being the 4 additional costs. If you play a card that has 2 aspects, and both those aspects do not match what's on your leader base, then you have to pay an extra 4 additional costs on top of that, meaning a 2 cost now costs a 6 cost, and that's triple the cost of the card, and that's a heavy burden. So that is the aspect penalty, so hopefully that makes sense, and I like to include different things, because some people learn by watching, some people learn by playing, some people learn by seeing, so I like to have as much as I'm like explaining it, showing it, and then you can always play a game and try it out as well. But do remember that even though the aspect penalty is kind of a negative increase in the cost of cards, sometimes a card's effect is worth playing those extra resources for, just to have access to them in the deck, because the effect is that good. A good example of this that I always use is the double aspect events from set 1 that were double aspect 4 cost and had 4 effects. You can choose any 2 of them, resolving how you want. And sometimes it was worth paying an extra 2 resources because you have to dedicate yourself to your double aspect. Even running them in decks where you only got one of those aspects is worth paying a 6 instead of 4 just to have access to those really strong effects. So do bear in mind that the aspect penalty, while is a negative, sometimes it's worth paying an extra cost if the card's worth it. So that is the aspect penalty, and now we're going to get the last bit of basic information before we go into dive in to the aspects and see what the benefits of each of the aspect combos. So, here with the last bit of information, we got ratios. So in any card game, you can play a certain amount of copies of a card, and for Star Wars, it's no different, but then the number of cards you can play in Star Wars for any given card is 3. So you can play the 3 copies of a card, or you can play just 2, or you can play just solely 1 copy of a card. And I'm going to go through and help you understand why you would want to play 1, 2, or 3 copies of a card. So we'll start off with 3 copies. This is the ratio to help maximize the likelihood the desired card will be in your hand when needed. And examples are being cards you want to play on the first turn or the game, or cards you want to see multiple copies over the course of the game. Now, I did used to have examples being more specific to the leader, but I thought it best to have a generic one across all of them, that like generic for almost any deck. And for that one, I've got resupply. Because if you're playing green, you're normally playing ramp, and the most generic card you have for ramp is resupply. Because it's a free cost event that allows you to just put in the play as a resource. So you just pay free, play it, and then add to your resources. So you ramp up, very easy, and it can be played in all different leaders because it's not dedicated to a certain aspect, like Super Laser Technician, being Villainy or Heroic. It's just a green card. So as long as you're playing green, you play it for free and have that ramp card. And given that you can play it on as early as turn 2, maybe you want to have it like multiple copies. You will normally have multiple copies of it, so the maximum amount of copies, so you can hopefully see it for your turn 2 and play it in ramp. So this is a good example of when you want to have 3 copies of a card. Next we have 2 copies of a card, and this is usually the ratio for cards that aren't great to draw early in the game, but you still want to go through multiple copies of the card over the course of the game. And the example I've got for this one being boss cards are high costing cards, and we've got Rival's Fault as a perfect example. Because this is a very high costing card at 6, but it allows you to defeat any unit. And when it comes to removal in this game, by effects and stuff, it's more restricted the lower cost it is, and less restricted the higher cost it is. And Rival's Fault is a perfect example, because most cards, when you're trying to remove something, they usually say non-leader card if most of the time they say non-leader card, whereas Rival's Fault just defeats a unit, so it can hit leaders as well, which is a lot tougher to do, so there's not many cards that just allow you to defeat a leader. So while it's a high costing card, you may not want to draw it early, but you want to draw it later, so 2 copies could be enough to not see it early, but see it later when you want to use it, when your opponent deploys their leader. And then that brings us to the ratio of 1 copy of a card. Now, the term that's normally used for this is like tech choices, like one-off cards you might use as a tech choice for certain decks. But this is usually the ratio for cards that are added to a deck specifically in order to counter a specific situation. Now, an example that I like to use for this is the card Restock, because it's added to decks to help counter hard control decks. Because hard control decks do exactly what it says there. They want to control and they want to do it hard. They want to make sure they're controlling the game every step of the way to make sure you're not really playing or doing anything without their say-so. And since you can the only way to win the game is by doing damage to a base, enough to its equal to its health, they don't really focus on damage, so then what they do is wait until you deck out, so you have no more cards to draw, and for every card you can't draw during your regroup phase, you take 3 damage. So 3 damage from one card not being drawn, and then 6 damage for both cards not being able to be drawn. So Restock is a good way to prevent that because it allows you to choose up to 4 cards in the discard pile, put them on the bottom of your deck in a random order. And since you can choose Restock itself as one of those 4 cards, you can put yourself back to loop it to make sure you're never decking out. And that means hard control decks will no longer have the way to deck you out and deck out damage to be able to win the game. So they've got to find a different way to push damage where you just keep getting cards back to help fight back. So that is the ratios, and hopefully that's all the basic information that's helpful, and hopefully it's useful for you if you're a brand new player. Now let's get in and see that more specific information about the different aspect combos. Right, so first thing we're best to do is go through the order of them, order the aspects. So we're going to start with the double aspect, and this is an aspect combo that, well, this is one of them that in the first set was only really a good option for one leader in every aspect, but as we've got more sets and more double aspect cards, it's been available and a good option for all leaders now, so all leaders have the chance to do this. And we had, from the first 3 sets of the first year, we had 3 double aspect cards in each set, but then set 4, we only got 1 double aspect card. So it seems like we've slowed down a little bit from this set, so I'm not sure how the other set's going to be. But so far we have 10 double aspects, so you're essentially sacrificing a whole different aspect, if you go double blue, to have access to these 10 powerful cards, or most powerful, well, some powerful cards. So for set 1, we got Bendu, Protector, and Vigilance being pretty nice ones. Bendu being a very nice 6-cost Sentinel, which allows you to play any, the next card you play that is not heroic or villainy, costs 2 less. We also got Protector as well, being a nice cheap upgrade that can make anything a Sentinel, which is pretty cool. And then you got Vigilance being something that all aspects got, a 4-cost event with 4 options that give you the option to pick 2 of them and resolve in any order. And Vigilance kind of goes in tandem with its kind of aspect, being that it can either mill 6 cards from your opponent's deck, heal 5 damage from your base, defeat a unit with 3 costs or less HP, or give a shield token to it, so it embodies everything the kind of aspect kind of tries to do. So those are the first three we got for the set, and they're all pretty good, pretty nice ones. Then in second set, we got Sugi, Second Chance, and Midnight Repairs. So these are pretty cool, like Sugi embodying the mechanic that came out with set 2, being Smuggle, and she can come down as a Sentinel if your opponent's unit is upgraded. You got Second Chance being a new, a high costing upgrade, but it's kind of like a revive because you can put on anything that's not a leader, and when that unit's defeated, you can play it back from your discard for free. But job's done, like a nice little revival event. And then you got upgrade, and then you got Midnight Repairs being the 2-cost event, which does a pretty good job of healing 8 damage from any number of units, so pretty powerful for 2 costs, but you have the good double aspect if you want to embody it without the penalty. And then in set 3, that's when it kind of got a little bit less because we got 3 in that set still, but we got 2 very useless ones, being Finn and Duchess Champion being not great. Good stats for its cost on Finn, but not great for the effect when there's other things to do it better that don't need you to go double blue. And Duchess Champion being a pretty beefy Sentinel, but has very little power, and is quite situational when it can be Sentinel. And that brings us to Equalize, the good one from from the 3 that we got from the third set, being another version of I'm trying to think what it's called now. I can't remember what the card is, but it's a card from set 1 which allows you to do the same thing, same cost of 3, but give a unit -2/2 for that phase. But that ever card effect, which I think is I still can't think of it. I thought I had it then, but it allowed you to do this. That's actually the same things, but heal 2 for damage to your base. And what this card does is having that extra blue aspect on, go double blue. Instead of healing 2 from your base, you then get to make it so if you control fewer units than the unit's controller, then you give another unit -2 to the phase. So you can potentially -2 things by 2 power and 2 health, instead of just 1 thing, but you don't get to heal 2 from your base. And that brings us a new one for set 4, being Hondo Onaka. This is a pretty nice one. 4 cost 3/5, comes in shielded, and messes about with upgrades that are not pilot when it swings. Pretty cool upgrade, pretty cool unit, pretty nice effect. Also nice being shielded means it's protected as well. And it adds to the legend that you got being Vigilance, along with Vigilance and Second Chance. So this is pretty nice. I'm not sure if Lando kind of benefits from just going just blue, and none of these really kind of, none of these kind of cards kind of benefit or mesh well with its effect, but it's an option if you want to go for it. Now, while we're on double blue, might as well go over the cards that Lando himself, without a base, provides you, and that is the Heroic side of Vigilance and Normal Vigilance. Now, there's some pretty nice cards. Remember, you can have base as well. Got base on the right side, so you can see kind of like the good examples of ones you can use. We've got rare, and then we got the common ones on the next slide. And these are some of the pretty nice ones you can have for Vigilance. Because remember, with Lando, he's all about wanting a unit in both arenas, so one in space, one in ground, and then being able to give a shield to one of them. So I thought I'd pick some pretty nice ones you can have like turns onward that could be pretty useful, some pretty powerful ones for the heroic side. You've got some good turn 1 plays like Restored Arcade Hera being nice ones, both being 2 cost 2 frees that have Restore 1. And the nice thing about Hera is she can be versatile in that she can be a ground unit or she can be an upgrade to a vehicle unit, in which she does apply up. She provides the same boost as in her power, so you provide an extra 2 free boosts, so 2 power, 3 health, and also gives that unit Restore 1, so pretty nice when you're on the second turn on whatever space unit you played. And then you've got some pretty nice ones for the turn 2 onwards, being like Concord Dominants such as Vigil Protectors. Vigil Protectors always comes in shielded, and these are both Sentinels as well to protect your arenas, and both pretty decent ones there. And then you also got some other kind of cards, like you've got L3, 3-7, and the Ghost being pretty nice ones, L3 being a nice one where you can go on the ground arena, and if it is defeated while on the ground, you can then throw it as an upgrade, also a pilot, on a vehicle unit instead of being defeated. So that's pretty nice. So if it does, it's a 3 cost 3, pretty solid stats, and if it does die, you can then go, okay, it'll be upgraded and pilot a ship instead of being defeated. And you got the Ghost, which is a pretty nice one, that while it's on board, all ever friendly Spectre units like Hera and stuff gain the keywords that he has, or it has. And while it's upgraded, it gains Sentinel, so basically straight away, as soon as you upgrade it, it's giving all the ever Spectres Sentinel, so I'm not sure how many you'll play with it, depends on the aspects you play. And if you put Hera on it to pilot it, it then has Restore, so all your Spectres gain Restore. And then you got the big and basically big boss cards of the heroic side of blue, being Luke, one of the best cards in the game. Nice big body healing as well, and nice reduction of stats. And you got Redemption being a nice big heal, be able to heal your base and then put the damage on itself instead. Being a nice one, as also being Sentinel for space. So that is the heroic side. It's pretty nice, strong cards. And then when you get to the non-heroic side of blue, that when it comes to blue, most of the strong cards are in the, most of the units, strong units and things like that, they're mainly in the heroic or villainy side. But there are some pretty nice ones in the non-heroic or villainy side of them as well. Like, you got some nice pilots as well, like Astromech and Academy Graduate being pretty nice pilots, quite cheap pilots, offers a nice thing. So, like, Astromech allows you to heal 2 damage from a unit when you upgrade him. We put him as an upgrade. And then the Academy Graduate basically makes a Sentinel. Then you got Trace as well, being another nice pilot that on attack allows you to heal 2 damage for a number of units. You can basically keep the unit alive. And while they don't offer huge benefits when upgraded, there's still pretty nice ones there. You even have some nice units like Outer Rim Outlaws give you now a 3 cost 3 free shield unit, so like a 3 cost version of Crafty Smuggler. And then you got Survivor's Gauntlet as well, being a nice one to be a nice British spaceship, pretty good stats that allow you to move, mess with upgrades. You can move your upgrades among your units around your units, or you can move upgrades from your opponent's units around there. So you can move a pilot off one ship to another ship that's maybe weaker or about to die, or move upgrades like shields and stuff around, stuff like that. You can mess with upgrades, which is pretty cool. And it's always one player to one attacked as well. Then you also got some nice upgrades and events, like you got Parasitian being a good example of a nice upgrade. First one to minus stats, well, just minus stats, even though it does -2 things. And also Exhausted cards attached to. And then you got Evidence of Crime also being another kind of way to mess with upgrades, being able to take control of the upgrade that costs 3 or less, and attach it to an eligible unit of your choice, or whatever you want to put on, as long as it's eligible. And then, like with Rivals 4, we've got a lot of good removal events, and the perfect one, most is always time used, is Takedown, being a very good one. That's a little bit less restrictive, can take out any unit, as long as their HP is 5 or less. So, that is the Vigilance, that's what Lando has to offer. Now, see if we put a different aspect base to Lando, what do we get? So, if we were to put Commando in Lando, that's a pretty nice one because there's quite a few rebels in the command side, and also along with that, a lot of support with the rebel aspect as well. And remember, command is the energy, also resource ramp aspect as well. So if you want to get Lando out a little bit quicker, this is the perfect aspect to do so because he does deploy quite late, but this can help him deploy a little bit earlier. And you got some pretty nice ones. So like I like to include, well, since it's effect, I like to include some cheaper units for the beginning, so you can kind of get a see of like what kind of cards you got pressed pretty well in here. And you've got some good turn 1 plays, like you've got Mon Mothma, Phoenix Squadron, and Luke being all turn 1 plays. Mon Mothma being a pretty nice one because it's not strong, but it's a searcher, because it allows you to look at top 5 cards of your deck for any rebel card, draw it, well, reveal it and draw it, so you get to kind of search for certain rebels, which is pretty nice. So, pretty nice one for the rebel trait. And then you've got some pretty strong cards that you got Phoenix Squadron and Luke Skywalker being the same kind of stats in their for their cost, but one is a one for different arenas, so one for space, one for ground. And Luke has the versatility of being able to be a pilot, so an upgrade on a unit. And if he is defeated while on a unit, as an upgrade on a unit, you can put in the ground arena rather than being defeated, which is pretty cool, as long as he's exhausted though. Then next we got units just showing how strong they are for when they go up. So you got free cost for blue leader, being a free cost 3/3 as ambush, and can also has a nice effect. Or when played, you can pay an extra 2 resources, and if you do, move to the ground arena and give it 2 experience to it. So you can play it as play it and put it either in the ground or ground or the space arena, which is pretty cool. So you can make it as a 3/3 in space, or potentially a 5/5 in the ground, which is cool. And then we got Bright Hope being a very nice space sentinel as well, that you can, when it's played, you can bounce back any ground unit back to your hand, so you can reuse it if you want to, so you can reuse those Lukes after Luke's like been knocked off a space unit and it's on the ground arena. Attack with it, then play Bright Hope, bounce back the hand, so you can then put it back on Bright Hope then, so that way Bright Hope's got better with the stats, and then if it comes off, Luke goes back to ground again. Then you got Chewbacca being a perfect card if you want to get card control, because it's got a nice effect which it gets even when it's as a unit or when an upgrade, where it can't be returned to hand or defeated by enemy card abilities. So your opponent can't use effects to take it out, they have to go for it through classic old school damage. So a pretty nice upgrade there, and pretty solid stats for what it provides as a ground unit or as a upgrade. Then you got Home 1 and U-Wing Reinforcement being very powerful late-in cards. Like U-Wing Reinforcement allows you to basically play things on top of your deck, up to three units, as long as they cost 7 or less combined. And Home 1 being able to revive a heroic unit, cost 3 less, so you can play something small for free, or play something bigger as long as you've got the extra resources, and gives you healing across the board, and that's what healing yourself would restore. Then on non-heroic side of command, you got some pretty good cards. This is where like you got most of your ramp, or good ramp, because heroic doesn't have a good ramp card. That's you got Spark of Hope, I think, or like I can't remember. It's something Hope, and it's not great because it's very specific in what needs to happen, and you can easily trigger it, but you got to draw it and be able to trigger it, which you might not be able to do. But you got some nice ones, like you got some nice pilots like Cone Pilot and Jarek Jaeger. Then you got some pretty nice one. The other one is like Hugh Yang, so those are both good turn 1 plays, and pilots as well that offer a little bit like Jarek Jaeger goes well with Lando, in that given what Lando wants to give a shield, he needs the same thing to gain Sentinel to the attached unit. And then you've got Hugh Yang be a way to kind of have something different, so you can play out a space unit, then play Hugh Yang that boosts that space unit, so that is stronger, and then it's something in both arenas. Resupply Carrier being a nice extra ramp card, where it's a high costing card, but it ramps on top of your deck. Reinforcement Walker being one of those rare ground vehicles that you can then potentially deploy on, that has got a great effect and pretty solid stats for its high cost. And then you got some pretty nice events, like you got Dogfight, be able to attack again, but can't attack bases, but attack with a unit, even if it's exhausted. Something you can only get in a space unit from set 1. You got Eject as well, to be able to like knock off pilots off of cards, either yours or your opponent's. But then they go down in the ground arena in exhausted, so they're still there. They just moved off their unit into a ground arena, and then you get to draw a card. So nice, and you got some pretty cool combos of that. Like in the dark side, you got a pretty cool one with Vader to go with that, and then Resupply is your ramp card. So pretty nice ones there. And yeah, that is command. So if you like ramping and you want some strong effects, some strong vehicles, especially with Rebel support as well, command is a pretty good one to go with Lando. Next we have Aggression, and this is one that probably has also a lot of good Rebel stuff, some good like damage output if you want to be aggressive. And yeah, we've got some pretty nice cards here. So here you got some good turn 1 plays like Green Squadron Airway and Ketsu being pretty strong ones, both hitting quite hard for damage. One maybe better when it's attacked into, where the other one not so much. And you got Ketsu as well, being able to knock off like low cost upgrades when it does damage to a base, being anything S2 or less, and that could apply to pilots as well. Now for Red 3 and Big's a pretty nice ones here, a space unit and a ground unit you can also potentially put on a as an upgrade, so a nice pilot as well. And Red 3 basically just makes all your heroic stuff do a bit more damage by having Raid 1. And Biggs is a nice little upgrade that gives a boost depending on what type the space unit is. Well, not the space unit, the vehicle is. So if it's a fighter, Overwhelm, Transport gets an extra 1 health, and Speeder gets Grip. Then you got also Red 5 as well, be a nice one where you can, if something's damaged, you can deal 2 damage whenever it attacks. Pretty solid stats as well. And then you got Nation. Then you start going up. So then you go to Case or so, being a very solid ground unit. When defeated, you have to make your opponent discard a card or deal 3 damage to the base. Poe being very solid stats to its cost, giving a lot of options when it attacks to do many things as long as you discard cards to do it. And then Wrecker being a nice one, very big stats, and also throws out 5 damage by killing one your resource as well. So very, very nice ones there. Wrecker might set you back trying to get Lando, but you can always wait to deploy Lando and then trigger drop Wrecker. And then you got the non-heroic side aggression. Now, just like with Vigilance, you get most of the in at least the heroic side, you get more of the better cards in the heroic side than the normal side, but you still have some good stuff. Like you've got some pretty nice ones that you got a pilot, like Determined Recruit being a nice cool pilot, more aggressive than bulky, so it doesn't add much to the stats and defense, but a good amount of bulk, a good amount of power to it. Saving Fang 5 being one of the quite few cards in red or aggression that offer upgrade hate, so been enough defeat 8 upgrade. That can even count as pilots as well. Captain Tarkin, be able to give boost to your vehicles, give them overwhelm as well. Pretty nice solid stats on it as well. Cham being the one new ramp card, but in red this time, so red gets a ramp card. So if you're behind on resources, then when you played, you can ramp the top card of your deck as long as you're behind on resources, not equal or more, just if you're behind on resources. And you get some good events, like you got Daring Life for damage, System Shock for more upgrade removal, but also do damage to it. And then damage ones like Open Fire, they'll do 4 damage for free. And then Pillage being hand control hate. So Red has quite a few things going for it, mainly damage, but also some nice little niche things. And it's got a good amount of upgrade hate as well. So if you like putting a lot of damage around and like have a nice focus on both arenas with like space and ground, then aggression could be a good one for you to go for, Hando. And lastly, we've got Cunning. So Cunning's a pretty good one. Remember, it's a jack of all trades one, so it's got a lot of options, and it's got some pretty nice. Got a fair few ambush cards as well. Cards that can come straight in and attack straight away. We have like having effects where it can come in interactive and stuff like that. So you got some pretty nice cheap units. Like you got lots of good turn ones. Like you got, and for the top row, you've got Dagger Squadron Pilot, L3, R2, and Fireball. All turn 1 plays. Dagger is probably better as a pilot, but you can have it as a one cost play if you want. L3 comes down, and you've got the option where you can rescue a capture card. And if you don't want to rescue a capture card, or don't have a capture card to rescue, you gains a shield. So she's most likely she's going to come down, pay 2, gain a shield. Really good. That shield's going to protect her, so she lasts a little bit longer. R2 comes down, you can discard any card from your hand, look at the top 3, and add any of those 3 cards to your hand, and put the rest at the bottom of your deck in a random order. So you get to kind of dig through a little bit more for what you're after, and pretty good bulk for its cost and stats on the 2 cost. Then you got Fireball being a cheap 2 cost free space unit it can ambush. And just the downside is when a green group phase starts, you draw cards. That's the end of the turn. Then you got Falcon for a turn 2 play as well, and it's a nice one. It's a legendary, but it comes in ready, so it comes down and can attack straight away. But the downside to that is that every time during your regroup phase, you have to either tap a resource or return it back to its owner's hand. And then you've got Han Solo being a nice ambush new legendary. So it's a 4 or 5 of ambush, a 5 cost. Or you can pilot it, and if you pilot on a Millennium Falcon, if you pilot on a unit, on a space unit, or on a vehicle, sorry, you can attack with that unit, and if it's a Falcon, you get the shoot first effect, so you deal damage before the defender. You also got Plo Koon as well, but never one with ambush, but this one's only a 3/6. But if you've got 2 other units on board alongside him, he gains raid 3 thanks to coordinate, where you need 3 units on board to trigger that effect. Also, you've got Spark Rebellion being one of the better of the hand control cards, being an event, 2 costs, you can play it as early as turn 1. Just look at your opponent's hand, discard a card from it, nice little hand control hate. And then you've got some nice cards in Cunning. Like Cunning has a lot more, like, well, load of good events, like very good events, and some nice units as well. Like you got the top row being the ones you can play as early as turn 1, like Independent Smuggler, Greedo, Crafty Smuggler, and X34 Landspeeder. So Crafty Smuggler is like L3, where it's basically a 2-cost 2/2 that comes in shielded. Pretty nice there. Smuggler is pretty nice when it gains raid 1, so if it's attacking, it's gaining 1 power, but you can also pilot it, so it's probably better as a pilot to get that boost and then have the raid 1. Greedo being a nice 1-cost unit as well, so everyone you can play very cheaply, and one you can play with a Lando's effect, well, even then, on any turn after, just to be able to play a card in the Grand Arena, give a shield token to a unit. And you got Landspeeder being a nice cheap ambush card, that's pretty nice as well. Then you got some good events. So you got Swoop Down, allowing you to, if you got space units, be able to manage the ground arena by breaking the rules of the game, by being able to attack through arenas. So usually it's just space can attack space and ground can attack ground. But there are a rare few cards in the game at the moment that allow you to break that rule and go across arenas, and Swoop Down is one of those. Then you have some cards that allow you to attack with units, give them more power for that attack. So you got Surprise Strike and Breaking In, both 2-cost events that allow you to attack with more power. So Surprise Strike lets you allow attack with extra 3 power on that card. And Breaking In allows you to attack with extra 2 power, but for that sacrifice that 1 power compared to Surprise Strike, you gain Saboteur, so you can ignore Sentinel and stuff, and even shields on a unit. Then you got Jump to Lightspeed, being a nice one, where it's a new card from the new set, where you can return a friendly unit, space unit, and any number of non-leader upgrades on it to their owner's hand. And then for the next time you want to play that, a copy of that card, this phase you can play it for free. So you can essentially bounce back a space unit, well, a vehicle, and then, well, no, sorry, a space unit. It has to be a space unit. This is the case, I am doing it right. It's supposed to be a space unit, and then you can play it back in for free, and you return all the upgrades on it as well back to hand. So you can bounce something back to hand like a Falcon, play it back out, and attack with it again, which is pretty cool. So if you like Cunning, they have all those different options to have almost an answer for anything. Cunning could be a good one for you to run Lando. Also do remember that, like I said, Heroism cards can be on their own cards as well, not just attached to every unit, every aspects. So there are some cards that are just Heroism, and here's some pretty nice ones to have with Lando. You've got R2, Falcon, Sabine's Masterpiece, and Fleet Lieutenant being pretty nice ones. R2 being a nice little unit. You can play it as a pilot as well, so you can play it on either as an upgrade or as a normal unit in the ground. And you can play it on a unit even if it's got a pilot. So normally when something's got a pilot, when a unit, a vehicle, keep differ between space and vehicle. A vehicle can only have 1 pilot on it at a time. But R2 is unique in that it can be played as an upgrade on a friendly unit even if it's got a pilot on it. And then when it does, it gives an effect where you can play or deploy an additional pilot on that unit. So you can have more pilots on just 1 unit thanks to R2. And you got Falcon, where it's got again the same kind of effect as R2, where you can have more than 1 pilot on it, and for every pilot on it, it gets an extra 1 power, so it gets stronger the more pilots on it. You got Sabine's Masterpiece be a nice one, where when it attacks, depending on whatever aspect you've got among your units on board, you can get an effect. So you can either heal 2 damage from a base if you've got blue, give an experience token to a unit if you've got green, deal damage to a unit or base with red, and then ready or exhaust a resource if you've got yellow. And you've got Fleet Lieutenant being a nice one, especially with the Rebel package, where just 1 played, you can attack with a unit. If it's a Rebel, give it X2 for that attack. So I kind of like those Cunning events like that, but then you get a body as well, just costs a little bit more in 1 resource. And for 1 kind of thing, but there are more traits now that have this kind of effect, which is pretty cool. So that's the Heroism cards I feel can be good to also include Lando. And that brings it down to the last bit of the video, and this is something that I added in, I think, on the set 3 series, because people used to ask about what my preferred preferences are, so they get kind of a view to how I will play. So I thought I'd add it back to the end because it's something I never thought of, and I like to improve on this series, like how I've improved on the kind of graphic for the aspect planning. So if I were to play this leader, which I might do, I'm not sure yet. Still figuring out what kind of leader I like and want to play from the new set. So I do like to try out different ones, like play a different deck every week at locals. If I were to play Lando, I'd probably go either Cunning is probably my third choice because you got some pretty nice cards like Han Solo, Millennium Falcon R2. It's pretty solid units, pretty solid efficiency and diversity in the plays. But then if I wouldn't play Cunning, I would probably play Command because then I could try to ramp up to get Lando out a little bit earlier and also have some pretty nice Rebel synergy with it as well. So those are my preferred aspects if I would play. So if that helps you out in any way, then there you go. And that is the video, so hopefully that's helped you understand how to build Lando and build it to suit you and your playstyle. And we'll have more of this because we're going to go over every leader in a given set. So this week is going to be the Vigilance ones, and next week will be Command ones because we go in aspect order. So do watch out because we have the last one for the blue leaders, being tomorrow's one, being Rose Tigo. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help out the channel because we're on our way to 2,000 subs. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.